I don't think you understand, like, my life has completely changed.
I have been talking about that though, relocating, but she's been going to school here. She has friends.
So we'll really find out how our enrollment is impacted on Wednesday when kids go back to school and we take attendance for the first time. We had 800 students lose their homes and nearly 100 staff members.
And there are 3,000 families out there that are dealing with this very difficult, traumatic, life-changing event. Some of them were ready to start rebuilding the day after the house burned down. A lot of them aren't there yet.
Santa Rosa City Schools is the largest district in the county. We have a little over 16,000 students, and if we're down about 500 students, that equates to about $4.2 million in our budget. That could be a 4% cut to staff. It could be a lot. It could be a significant number of programs. It could be any number of things, but it would have to be significant. My house was filled with smoke, and it was smoky enough that I just assumed my house was on fire. I texted two of my colleagues on the school board and found that they had been evacuated already and had assumed that they'd lost their homes based on the path of the fire. And it was then that I started talking to the superintendent about closing schools.
My school was used as an evacuation center, but only for like a week. So I went back to school pretty quickly, and a lot of, only like 5 people from my school lost their houses, including teachers. And I was like, I don't think you understand, like, my life has completely changed.
The trauma that was experienced as a community, whether you lost your home or not, is one that is hard to describe.
So there was one other kid who lost their house in the fire, and they returned to school a lot earlier than I did. I returned a while later. Like, it kind of felt like I was like different coming back.
I think about what happened every day. There's not a day that goes by that I don't not remember everything, every little detail, that, like, the heat, the fear, just everything.
So a few days into the fire, while the fires were still burning, we realized that we really didn't have a good handle on how many of our students and staff members had been affected. One of our assistant superintendents, Rick Edson, he put our student roster, the computer student roster, up on Google Maps, and then overlaid the CAL FIRE maps of the burn areas so that we could determine exactly who of our students and staff were in the burn areas.
No one really knew what happened to me, but like all the teachers, all the staff knew. My teachers would come up to me and be like, "It's okay, like, take your time, like, the homework, like, it's totally fine, you don't need to, like, rush into anything. I'm so sorry," and, like, they'd hug me and stuff.
Our enrollment has dropped about 400, and kind of word on the street is that there are still a lot of people who are couch surfing and have temporary living situations who are waiting to make a move until the summer.
We work with the homeless liaison within the school district to actually coordinate that if a child was in a school district in another part of the community, they still have a right to stay in that school.
I mean, I have been talking about that though, relocating, but she's been going to school here. She has friends.
But we also really felt the urgency to open. Really, people needed in the community some sense of stability and return to normalcy, particularly the students and the parents who couldn't go to work if their students had nowhere to go. Our superintendent was really thoughtful about how to support staff and students in coming back. In staff, she gave them 2 days to get ready. She brought them back 2 days early. The first day they spent dealing with their own trauma, so that the second day they could spend getting ready to welcome kids back to school.
Georgia closed.
Thank you, Diane. Now in Santa Rosa, California, in 2018, there's a very specific thank you I need to extend. The extra haze in the sky reminds us that last year, just under 10 months ago, the job got a lot harder because the tragedy was right here at home. As Senator McGuire said, 800 of our students lost their homes, and nearly 100 of you, staff members, lost their homes. And every one of us has a close friend or family member, or more than that, who lost their homes. And no matter what trauma each of you are dealing with on a personal level, you all stepped up. You came back to school, you created a safe place for students to heal, a safe place for each other, a stable place where students could regain their emotional footing, a stable place for our community so that people could go back to work and so that people could look at a public institution and say, okay, it's back to normal. You know, when you bring up declining enrollment, you do it really with an eye towards how it's going to affect the school district. The other thing that we're looking at when we look at our enrollment numbers is whether that is a good indicator of what's happening to the community at large.
People have a number of different reasons not to rebuild. Some just can't deal with it emotionally, frankly. Then there are people who just don't have the money to do it.
You know, the school district has a piece of information that nobody else has, and we know not only that people have left or how many people have left, but we know where they went, because we have to send the student files somewhere.
I've done some research myself, and it's just what they want for places, and the competition is so stiff, you know. It's just a tough. It's just a, you know, we're in a pretty tight spot right now.
So we'll really find out how our enrollment is impacted on Wednesday. That's when kids go back to school and we take attendance for the first time. If a total of 900 of our school community between students and staff lost their homes, and we're down a net 400, and that's today, and 75% of those have left the county, that becomes real concerning on a citywide and countywide basis about whether or not there is a mass exodus.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.